Welcome to the Vernon Hills Update. The update offers information about a variety of village services. You'll meet a few of your neighbors and you'll find out about upcoming events. On today's show, we'll head to Hawthorne District 73 to meet new school superintendent Dr. Peter Hannigan. We'll review some back-to-school rules of the road designed to help keep our students and everyone safe. We'll check in with entomologist George Ballas to learn what Clarke is doing to control mosquitoes and other pests around the village, as well as what we can do to protect our own families. We'll get a preview of this year's Public Works Open House, planned for Wednesday, August 28th. And we'll look back at some of the sights and sounds of this year's summer celebration with a performance from the BoDeans. Thank you for tuning into the Vernon Hills Update.
We've come over to the Hawthorne District 73 office on Hawthorne Parkway. We're here to get excited about the new school year, find out what's going on, and most importantly, we're here to meet the new superintendent for Hawthorne District 73. We're here with Dr. Peter Hannigan. Thank you for taking the time. I know summer's busy all the time, but
Getting ready. Thanks for having me on today.
Yeah, and Dr. Hannigan, before we get started, we want to just talk about the fact that people watching this at home may or may not have a kid in school, but the health of our schools around here is important to everybody, and we've got great school districts. Hawthorne's a huge one, though.
Yep, excellent.
Yeah. How big is Hawthorne? What are the parameters?
We have 8 schools currently. We're building our 9th school this year to open up in the fall of 2020. 4,200 students will be entering our doors on August 22nd.
Yeah, think about that. And it's K through 8, and you do have a preschool
We
program.
have a pre-K. It's pre-K through 8.
So a lot of exciting things, and as far as the news, like you said, you've got the new school coming over at the Sullivan Center. So 2020, you're ready to go?
2020 we'll be ready to go. We broke ground this past April, and things are rolling along, and this fall we'll be in preparation for the opening of that school, so it's a smooth transition as we pull all of our kinders over to that center.
Well, so as far as this fall, when school starts, when they come on the 22nd, we won't see any difference. Like construction isn't going to impact anybody. It's going to be business as usual.
It'll be business as usual for our 4,200 students.
That's excellent. Well, let's back up. Let's talk about you and how you got started. You come with a great deal of experience in both teaching and administration. How did you get started in this journey? What happened? How did you get
started?
here?
Good question. Well, I'm originally from the south side of Chicago. I attended Mount Carmel High School in Hyde Park. From there, I was actively involved in athletics, and I decided I wanted to take the next step and play football in college, where I attended Aurora University, where I received a Bachelor of Arts in Elementary Education. Aurora more than prepared me for a career in education. We had a great experience there. Upon graduation, I started my teaching career in Naperville, District 204, where I taught 4th grade. And while I was in Naperville, they really gave me opportunities to expand my leadership experiences. And I really got that itch that I wanted to take my experiences to the next level. And after leaving Naperville, I spent the next 10 years as a building level administrator, 1 year as an assistant principal, 9 years as an elementary and a junior high principal. Following my career as a building leader, I spent the last 6 years as the assistant superintendent for human resources in Schaumburg, District 54.
Schaumburg is a huge, well, Naperville is too, but those are big districts.
Big systems, yeah. We had 28 schools, roughly 2,900 employees. So it was a lot bigger. But, when you compare, Schaumburg to Vernon Hills, the demographics are very similar and comparable, just it's a quarter of the size.
Well, that's good. We're glad you have all that experience that you can bring to bear here. So when you talk about coming into Hawthorne then, and we've got wonderful schools. Hawthorne's great, Diamond Lake's great. All of our schools around here are awesome, and people expect a lot out of our schools. So how would you explain in a nutshell kind of what your philosophy is, or what your vision is for what you're gonna focus on?
Well, like you said, Hawthorne's an outstanding educational program. It has an outstanding educational program, and moving forward, we look to build upon that success and continue to grow our programming. When I look at my philosophy and our vision for where we would like to see, working with the Board of Education, where we'd like to see our program go, it's really creating a system where all students can learn. That's one thing I've been stressing with our administrative team and our staff as I've transitioned, is that we need to create systems and structures where all students can learn regardless of ability, and that's what we hope to continue. And fortunately, as I transitioned in, our strategic plan will be coming up at the end of this coming school year, and so in the fall we'll be bringing stakeholders together to again create another 5-year strategic plan where we can really set that vision for the future of where we'd like to see Hawthorne.
Now, is that something, stakeholders often involve the wider community. Is that something you'll put
Yes,
out there
that's-
so we can
yeah.
get involved?
That is something we will be doing. Look forward to it in October. October, November. I'll be working with our Board of Education in the coming weeks to kind of set our timeline as far as what we want that to look like.
When we talk about that too, you kind of mentioned it. The community is more than the students and the parents that are there. It's the whole community, and we do have a lot of partnerships here in Vernon Hills. People work together with intergovernmental and all kinds of things. It's interesting, it's exciting, but that's a whole other facet of things to manage.
Well, it's huge for our success. Hawthorne has a long-standing relationships and partnerships with the community, and a perfect example of that is the building of the Hawthorne School for Young Learners in Sullivan Center. It wouldn't be possible without the support of our taxpayers with the bond referendum passing, and then also working collaboratively with the village, the park district, and the library. And that's a perfect example. And I plan to continue to build and expand upon those relationships so that we can have future success.
Well, and it is. It's kind of like all the community pulling together for the same
Yep.
purpose. It's
We're all here.
pretty interesting.
It takes a village.
And this village has a lot going on.
Yes.
So there's a lot going on. Well, and when it comes to you've come up through the ranks and you know every aspect of the school. What do you have any messages out there for the kids as they get ready? I mean, this is going to be an exciting school year.
It's exciting. I mean, the energy is already, I've been transitioning since February, and, being able to get out in the buildings, get into classrooms, meeting with staff, meeting with our administrative team to ensure we have a smooth transition so we can have a successful start to the school year. But, with our 4,200 students, I expect our students to bring their best self day in and day out, and Hawthorne has a lot to offer, and I just hope that our families and our students take advantage of all Hawthorne has to offer.
There is a lot. There's a lot of things you can get involved in. Help
Yep.
you can help. Ask for, accelerate it if you want to
Yep.
accelerate. And how about your you seem like a very accessible guy. Let's
I
just
am.
say that. I walked in and you were here and you were moving around. So if somebody wants to have time with you, whether it's a parent or a community member, come over to the district?
Yep. I do have an open door policy. I prefer that you contact our main office to set up an appointment just so that you're not waiting around and waiting for me. But I have an open door policy, so any of our stakeholders, parents, families, if they want to meet with me. And in August, I will be putting out a communication because as I continue my transition, I am going to provide meet and greet opportunities with the community to get, so that I can better understand the needs of the community as we move forward, especially as we move into the strategic planning process.
Yeah. That'll be exciting, and hopefully you get a lot of good input, get a lot of people involved in that. So, it's an exciting start to the school year. Hawthorne kids are going to come in August 22nd. Is that a
22nd.
Thursday? Okay,
Yep.
so here's a question that always rings
Yep.
on everybody's mind. How do I know who my teacher is? How am I going to get that figured out?
Well, we are working on that right now. We will be putting out a communication to our community when they can expect middle school schedules, when they can get class assignments, but it will be roughly a week prior to the start of the school year. We're still working through some of those fine details. Also, I encourage our parents, make sure you register your kids so that you are in our system so that you can be placed appropriately. Make sure your contact information is up to date so that you are getting that timely information. But there will also be information on our website, hawthorne73.org, and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, so that you can get all that information.
Yeah, there's a lot to know. There's a lot to know for the beginning of the school year and just all the exciting things afoot here at Hawthorne, and we'll make sure we're involved. And if somebody wants something too, I know you have an email that you're checking all the time, and you can just call over to district and they'll figure out what to do.
You will get in touch with me. I can't hide.
It's so good that you took the time. Thank you very much. Exciting school year ahead, and thanks for taking the time to be
Yep,
with us.
thanks.
We look forward to seeing you around the community.
Excellent. Thanks for having me on today.
Hi, I'm Kim Christensen with the Vernon Hills Police Department's Crime Prevention Unit. It's August, that means school's in session. And on an annual basis, we want to give you some safety tips that help keep you and the children safe during the coming school year. But first off, let's go over some generic tips, some general safety tips that sometimes as adults we tend to forget. First, remember that school-age children can become easily distracted, and they might start across the street without any warning at all. They just don't understand the danger of moving vehicles. They can't judge vehicle speed or vehicle distances. And more importantly, they may be blocked from view by the bus. Most importantly, children expect vehicles to stop for them at the school bus stop. Motorists, be watchful for children going to and from schools and also at bus stops. Get in the habit of recognizing the school zones on your route of travel in the morning and in the afternoon. If you see a marked crosswalk, remember that drivers must come to a complete stop, not just slow down, and yield when a pedestrian is in a marked crosswalk. And on school days when children are in close proximity to a school zone crosswalk. Look for bicycles, children walking, and crossing guards. And scan between parked vehicles for children that might be between them and you won't see them. Be prepared to take fast, evasive action. And drive with your headlights on so children and other drivers can see you. And most important, avoid using cell phones while driving, especially during before school and after school hours. And remember, with few exceptions, including using a hands-free device or calling 911, it is illegal to use a cell phone on a roadway at any time. Drivers, please be diligent at obeying all the rules of the road, but especially those that apply to school buses. A school bus's flashing yellow lights are a warning the bus will soon be stopping to load or unload passengers. The driver of the bus will activate these during the last 100 feet the bus is traveling before stopping. You should be ready to stop. The extended stop arm signal and flashing red lights advise motorists the bus has stopped and is loading or unloading passengers. Now let's clear up a misunderstanding. When a school bus is traveling on a 2-lane roadway and is stopped to pick up or drop off pupils, the vehicle in all lanes of traffic must stop. The vehicle should stop at least 20 feet before reaching the school bus to allow pupils to cross the road safely. When the school bus is traveling on a 4-lane roadway with at least 2 lanes of traffic traveling in the opposite direction, only those lanes of traffic traveling in the same direction the school bus must stop. And a great example of this is Hawthorne Parkway. A violation of this law can include a suspension of your driver's license and a fine of up to $150 for your first offense. After that, the penalty is harsher. And this law also applies in parking lots, not just on a street. In other words, at any location. Let's talk for a minute about school zone speed limits, where the speed limit is 20 miles an hour. Remember, Illinois law states that a school zone limit is in effect from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. on school days when children are present. And effective early in 2016, Illinois law was amended. What it does state is that if you're doing 26 to 34 miles per hour over the limit, it's a Class B misdemeanor. 35 or more over the limit, it's a Class A misdemeanor. Thank you for watching. On behalf of Chief Patrick Crease and everybody at the Vernon Hills Police Department, thank you for doing your part to help keep the children safe during the school year.
Well, it seems about time we talk about mosquitoes with our favorite entomologist, George Ballas from Clarke Mosquito Control. They're the guys that help us here in Vernon Hills, and actually most of the communities around the area work with Clarke to do stuff. So thanks for making the drive over. And I see you brought some friends and things. So we're here to talk mosquitoes and the life cycle of mosquitoes and what you're doing to keep the critters down for us.
Well, it's summertime, and so mosquitoes are a very popular topic at this time.
You're like a popular guy in the summertime. It's your season, man. So, well, and I see you've got here some mosquito larvae, and I know that's one of the things that you at Clarke, we think of mosquitoes, we think of the things that are biting us at night and things like that, but you are at work way before we have mosquitoes hatching. Can you talk a little bit about your processes?
Yeah, so mosquitoes really, most of the life cycle of the mosquito is actually in the water. And so the mosquito control program in the village happens way before people see a spray truck driving down the street. And what we're looking for is mosquito larvae. This is a development stage right here, the second stage of the mosquito life cycle. And so we're actually able to treat it using some products. These are OMRI-listed, Organic Materials Review Institute-listed products. They can be used in and around organic farms and gardens. And we can use these in retention ponds, ditches, catch basins. So all different areas where water is present. And so the mosquito has to go through this water stage before they become flying adults.
So when you're in there dipping, we've seen you go with little cups and dip water out. That's the sort of thing you're looking for and counting?
Yeah, we're looking for these mosquito larvae, and this is where we can do some control before they become flying adults. So it's really important to go out and actually inspect those water sites on an ongoing basis, and the program here in the village has that component.
So that's where we might see some Clarke guys out there messing around in the waterways.
Yeah, usually with fluorescent yellow jackets, and they're down by the water taking water samples just to find these mosquito larvae.
Okay. And how long does it take before these little guys, if we were to let them free, would they be before we see a mosquito flying around?
So about 7 to 10 days typically is during the summer, and they'll develop in that water. So we've experienced some heavy rains here in the later part of July, and we'll start to see those mosquitoes start to emerge during the month of August. So during the time between now and then, we'll continue to go out and check and treat those sites that when we find them breeding.
So when you say about 7 days to that, so you really have many batches, many broods of mosquitoes that come through over the course of a summer.
Yeah, so in a typical summer, we'll see anywhere between like 7 to 12 of those cycles. This year, we've seen many more than that because of the heavy rains of May and June. But populations have been quite below threshold, and so we've actually had a pretty decent summer overall.
Considering everything, and when you talk about where you're testing, that's why it's so important for the tip and toss, I guess you'd say. Can you remind people that even a little bit of water in your yard is going to cause an issue for you?
Yeah, so a little area like as small as this, or even just a bottle that you have, can actually hold water, and mosquitoes will breed in any size container. So most people think of the wetlands or the larger areas, and the village takes care of those types of areas, but residents can get rid of anything that holds standing water, artificial containers, wheelbarrows full of weeds, little small water bottles, anything that they can get rid of that holds water will help reduce their mosquito population around their house.
And when we talk about that too, if somebody has determined that they think there's a place where that's pretty heavy in mosquitoes, or they think it's a problem, you do have a way to report that so your technicians can come over and look.
Yeah, so there's a portal that we have open now, clarkeportal.com/hotline, that allows residents to just enter that in and say, yes, we have standing water on our property that's been here for more than 3 to 5 days. We typically ask for 3 to 5 days, so after a heavy rainfall, that water will just pool up, but most of it will go into soil or other areas. But if it stays out there for longer than 3 to 5 days, that's when you would need to report it. And if it's a constant issue year after year, like in the spring, you can just log in, report that in, and someone will come out within 48 hours to actually check that water source.
So they'll check it, treat it if they have to, maybe give advice for how to get it drained so it doesn't do this. So this was the larva. Now, we talked about, we see people going on the bikes and shooting, like sending stuff down a pipe into the gutters. Is that these things here?
Yeah, so we have this is a 30-day residual product. We also have it in a water-soluble pouch, and they'll ride the bikes along the streets, and they'll drop those into the thousands of catch basins that are within the village. The standing water that we're seeing here is in the bottom of those storm drains. And so treating those storm drains at an ongoing basis really helps us reduce the risk of West Nile virus within the area, because those types of mosquitoes like cool, damp areas with not a lot of moving water. And so between rainfalls, there's a lot of cool, damp water in those catch basins or storm drains.
Well, we talk about West Nile. So when you guys are checking for West Nile, you're not looking at these, the little baby larvae, you're looking at the actual flying adult. So what's that process?
So we have a trap that's out that collects mosquitoes, adult mosquitoes on an ongoing basis. And it collects female mosquitoes that have already taken blood meals. And the reason for that is they're actually there to lay their eggs. And the reason that helps us is because the mosquito has already taken a blood meal, either from a bird, a human, something, and they can actually pull the virus. So the virus actually amplifies within that mosquito. So we're collecting adult female mosquitoes. Those get tested all throughout the summer from June all the way to October. And we'll be able to determine the risk factors associated with that, not only within Vernon Hills, but also the neighboring communities. So we'll look at different risk factors overall for the summer.
And one of the things, like you've said before, West Nile isn't the only thing that mosquitoes do. So it's more than like the itching and slapping of the mosquitoes and the nuisance. It's the health risk. So it isn't just West Nile.
Yeah, and you have quality of life issues that are associated with mosquitoes. Some people are allergic to and have reactions to bites as well. And we do have other viruses in the area. West Nile virus is the most prevalent, and that's the one that's most spoken about, but we're looking at other things as well with the health department, and we'll communicate with the village if necessary.
And I know we've always said too, you can research all these things. Clarke has, you've got a great website with a lot of information. The CDC has information. Lake County has information. People can go to your portal and report stuff. So, and when it comes to the adults, once they're flying, that's when we see the spray trucks come around in the evening.
We try and utilize adult mosquito control when certain thresholds have been exceeded, whether it be quality of life thresholds or disease thresholds, and we'll use adult mosquito control. Residents can also, throughout the summer, when mosquitoes are active, also wear repellents, and again, go through those steps around the house, getting rid of standing water. So repellents are very important for not only mosquitoes, but can also be used for ticks when you're in areas where ticks are present as well.
So with that, I know some people they recoil at the idea of a repellent, but it does protect you from the mosquitoes. It protects you from the ticks. And I know you've always said, as your kids were growing up, you would rather have them protected with the repellent than all the things that could get to them otherwise.
Absolutely, and there's many different types of repellents. There's 4 main types that the Centers for Disease Control recommends, which is DEET-based repellents, which sometimes people may have a question about. Picaridin, which is most people may not be aware of, but very, very popular now, which is a little bit less oily, doesn't have the scent associated with it. There's some natural repellents like oil of lemon eucalyptus, which is on the market now, and there's a 4th repellent, IR3535, which is not as popular in the marketplace yet. But all of those repellents work very effectively, and so there's different options for different people, and some people may not like the oil, or some people may not like the DEET, but there's different options for all people in your household.
And it's good just to take those precautions. And I know when your crews are out there, oftentimes you'll see them. They might have long shirts on, even on a hot day. They cover up. They use repellents. They aren't out at the worst of the times often either.
Yeah, and they're in areas where mosquitoes are most prevalent. So, you can wear long sleeves and long pants during the summer to help out with mosquito populations, but generally we try and use just repellents, avoid periods when mosquitoes would be active, but it's summer here in Chicagoland, and we really want to be out. So if you're going to be out, mosquitoes are active, use repellents.
And again, can you remind everybody of if you do have something to report or questions about that, or even if you want to get information about when you guys are spraying, because you do it periodically and it's announced, but you can get on a list. Remind people how to get a hold of you.
They just go to www.clarke, C-L-A-R-K-E, portal.com/hotline.
Thank you for taking the time, George. It's always good to talk to you. Great reminder, and thanks for taking care of us.
Thank you. You have a great day.
We are here at the Public Works Department. We happen to be in the shed because today it's pouring rain, which is kind of nice. I guess that's how Illinois is. Every 5 minutes it changes. We're with Public Works Director Dave Brown because this is the big year. This is the every other year, the good year for the Public Works open house. This is our time, man.
Yeah. So we're having our Public Works open house. It's August 28th from 4 to 7. Please come and join us. We'd like to show you our operations, our equipment. We have special guests such as Clarke Mosquito and their helicopter will be here, Vernon Township, the Park District, Fire District, et cetera, et cetera. So looking forward to people coming out, learn a little bit more about what we do.
And remind people where the Public Works facility is. It isn't by Village Hall. It's the other side of town, up off Butterfield.
Yeah, so we're at 490 Greenleaf.
Okay, there you go. So 490 Greenleaf, come on over. And it's all free. And there's free giveaways, too. There's stuff, once you get in here, you can come home with a bag of fun stuff.
Yeah, there's certainly the bag that will hand all of our guests, and then also there's just some interesting events at each station. So I think the kids love it. We're going to get them to look at our equipment, and that's always real fun for them.
And when we talk about the things kids can do, I know a lot of times your staff is out here, your arborists and all your folks, and showing all their different equipment they can use. And that's always a good time because sometimes there's a lot of hands-on going.
Yeah, I think it's just great that kids of all age can interact. I think the parents get to watch the kids and see how much fun they have. There's certainly food available, so by all means, come see us.
Yeah, excellent. That's Wednesday, August 28th, 4 to 7 here at Public Works. Now let's talk about Public Works, the work you've got going on around town. Summer's really busy. Summer's super busy. How is the road rehab project going? As people watch this in August, my understanding is it should be pretty much done.
Yeah, we were able to complete the project by the 4th of July. There's a little bit of punch list work, growing of grass that needs to occur, but the project's complete. We're proud that we partnered with 3 other entities this year, so we were able to gain extra value by reduced unit prices. So we partnered with the Village of Libertyville, the Village of Mundelein, and Libertyville Township. And so it was a successful project, and moving forward to our other maintenance-related projects.
And there's a lot of stuff coming out. You guys also are, you as an engineer are involved in things that are wider even than Vernon Hills. And one of those things is, the water management. I've heard you talk about things going on at Lake Charles, work on the CV, work on Indian Creek, all these kind of things that you kind of get your fingers in and your brain around.
Yeah, over the years we've had, I think, 5 different grant projects to try to improve our lakes, the CV ditch. There's a larger focus right now on Lake Charles itself. It's a very shallow body of water. It's not truly a lake, it's man-made. It really wants to convert itself back into a wetland. And so we did put some money in a budget this year. I'm working with a couple of different vendors. We're looking to help slow down the process by putting in some diffusers. Basically, they're bubblers and some small hoses that extend out into the lake. There might be 8 or 10 of them with dual diffusers, and that'll keep the water column steady. It should reduce the probability of it moving faster towards being a wetland. There's a large sedimentation issue that we have, a lot of stream bank erosion upstream that's entering, so there's a delta that's forming on the north end of it, and we're really trying to work with partners upstream and see how we can improve on that.
So when you say upstream, that's like the folks in Mundelein and every place where the water is coming along. Is that the CV up to the north too, or what is that?
It is the CV ditch. The CV ditch's headwaters are essentially downtown Mundelein, and then there's some pipe system, but that's the beginning of it. And the Village of Libertyville, the Village of Mundelein, they're good partners. They have some larger issues they're dealing with. They were devastated with flooding. I think it's more conversation, awareness, and if we can partner with obtaining some grants, I think that would be a good thing for everyone.
Okay, so that's something we can watch going forward. And just as a reminder, the CV ditch isn't like a creek that's been there. That was a farmer-made kind of a thing that you're dealing with, to keep the water moving through town.
Yeah, essentially it was a ditch for agricultural purposes. It helped the farmers' fields, and so they created that. We've got old black and white photos of the turn of the previous century when they were using some big equipment to dredge it, construct it. It's the lifeline of our village in terms of stormwater management. Most areas in Vernon Hills flows to the CV ditch, and it flows from Butterfield Road in our village all the way through and connects to the Indian Creek just downstream of the golf course.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's kind of interesting when you think about that. So at the going into the late 1800s, early 1900s, that was a heck of a project, and thank you for doing that because that helps us a lot. Yeah. So, well, and when we talk about thank you for doing that, Public Works staff is very busy over the summer. We've got festivals you set up and down for. All you work in partnership with the Park District, with everybody else, and your crew just keeps going.
It's hard to believe that just 3 months ago we had snow in April, and my compliments to my staff. They're out in upper 90-degree temperatures right now, setting up for summer celebration. It's a great event also, but it's muggy and it's a very difficult job. It's raining right now. We're hoping the rain holds off a little bit for the event, but yeah, compliments to all their hard work.
It's always something, and Public Works is out in it all the time. You're kind of like the post office. You kind of keep it going. So if somebody wants to know more or learn about Public Works Open House coming up, I know you got a website that's full of stuff, and people can send emails and everything else.
Yeah, we'll post good information on the website. If there's any questions, please contact us. But by all means, come out and have a good time.
Thank you. Have a good summer.
We'll close this edition of the Vernon Hills Update with a look back at some of the sights and sounds of this year's summer celebration that includes a performance from the BoDeans. If you have comments or suggestions, please contact Mike Storto at 847-918-3560 or email mikes@vhills.org. Thank you for tuning into the Vernon Hills Update.
If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I'll never, no, never let go. You say, if I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I'll never, no, never let go. You say, ooh, I like the way you dance, like the way you paint your lips. If I had a chance to be with you, I wouldn't slip. Hey, what do you say? You see a thing or two in me. Let's be on our way. We don't need no other stuff. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, never, no, never let go. You say, we don't need no wine, we don't need no other stuff. We'll be doing fine, just being close and tasting love. When the night's at 8, we'll close the curtains way up tight. Then we'll just pretend that it isn't there. We speak. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I'll never, no, never let go. You say, there's a fire burning deep down in your eyes. It's got me almost hypnotized. Ooh, I like the way you dance, like the way you paint your lips. If I had a chance to be with you, I wouldn't slip. Hey, what do you say? You see a thing or two in me, but let's be on our way. We don't need no stuff. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, never, no, never let go. You say, if I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold you tonight, I might never let go. If I can hold let go.